now I'm prepping. The first thing I do is I prep the butter. Yeah, to melt the butter, of course, I go with 118. You know, some people say 98, some people say 105, some people say 120. I go with 118. Got this, you know, candy making thermometer.
Awesome.
That.
So 118 is the raw threshold for you?
118 is the raw. Actually, I'm sorry. 115 is the raw threshold for me.
Me too.
Sometimes I go over. Sometimes I go over.
We're here with the man, Roman himself.
And
say aloha to the camera.
Aloha.
Yeah.
I am one with you, camera.
Yeah.
And Tali behind the camera.
Yeah. This is raw food madness. I like what you're doing here. So.
Yeah.
That looks awesome.
So then, of course, crazy.
Right.
Like putting in turmeric. Putting in mesquite.
That's what I do.
You know, putting in like
stevia, like ground to make a low glycemic chocolate. You ever done that?
No, but I just got coconut nectar.
Oh wow!
I
heard about this. This is the new
35 on the glycemic level. So
what is
coconut
that?
palm sugar.
Wow.
Also 35 on the glycemic level.
Interesting.
So you know.
Are you serious?
Maybe we'll use this for the strawberry one, the second batch, the experimental batch.
Let's do it.
All right.
I've actually heard of that coconut. What is that called? Coconut nectar?
And coconut palm sugar.
Interesting. Wow.
I mean, stevia is really good too, but I find that I have a hard time using stevia because it's, you can only use so little of it.
Yeah. So that's pure butter from Ecuador, or?
Well, I feel like that at the temperature that it was extracted, because it's a little more like wet looking, it's not pure butter. It still contains a good amount of, you know, well, of course, the higher the temperature you process it, the purer your butter will be.
Ah, yes. I see.
147. Sometimes when there's too much butter, it's like masks a lot of the flavors.
Yeah. So you do like a 2-to-1 ratio with your butter to powder?
I actually do more powder than butter.
Ah, interesting.
Because then what happens with the nuts is that the nuts absorb more of the powder. Like the fats from the nuts absorb more of the powder. Which is also important to do a nut ratio that's really nice, because if you use too much Brazil nuts, which are actually more fatty, you're going to have like an outpouring of butter when you start making your balls. They're going to be much richer in fat. Where cashews come in, which is so great about cashews, because they create the creaminess without the extra fat.
Wow. I hear you on that one. I actually love using cashews myself. Even though they get a bad rap sometimes. That's cool. This is exactly like how I do it, kind of. I don't put, what's that steel thing that you put down there?
It's a
what is it, reduced?
No, it's a steamer. It's a steamer.
For real?
It's so that when I turn on the fire, when I turn the gas on underneath the pan, in case you need to get it hotter, the glass is not making direct contact with the surface that's being heated.
Nice. So it's an even heat, kind of?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Raw food mafia.
Raw food mafia.
What can you do when supposedly they have the only raw cacao in town?
Yeah. I guess you have to buy from them.
Seriously, I mean, as long as I still got my kneecaps,
I'm
okay.
Yeah, you're okay. So this is all Ultimate Superfood product?
Yes, sir.
Cool.
Well, Ultimate Superfood.
I'm not affiliated with Ultimate Superfoods, and I'm not even promoting them, but I'm sure it's a good product.
I mean, you could tell by the lightness of the cacao.
Yeah.
It does carry less flavor, but I imagine that it is more raw. Because the more energy you put into breaking an object apart, the more refined it gets in its specific property. In cacao powder, in particular, it's darkness and flavor. So the actual flavor of this would be less so pungent than that cacao, which is produced at higher temperatures.
Ah, right on. Fascinating. I didn't know that. So you put more cacao than butter in your mixes, or?
Well, let's see. We're putting in 140 grams of butter here, and we're putting in 200 grams of powder. So
yes.
not that much more.
Right. So you just added the powder right into the oil?
Adding the powder right into the oil. Now, a little trick about adding the powder right into the oil is that I used to stand and like mix the powder and really get like super anal about mixing it so all the clumps come out. But what I realized with cacao is that the butter will break apart the clumps naturally. So all you really have to do is just cover the powder in butter, and if there are clumps, they'll just naturally break down by themselves.
Oh wow, no
which
kidding.
in this point in time gives me time to prep and do everything else that has to do with the chocolate, as the powder and butter naturally
coalesce. Right?
Exactly.
Nice, I like that. I always thought it was like more the other way around. You have to like add the oil to the powder and then mix it like vigorously to get it like.
Look at these chunks.
To just dissolve into the oil. No problem.
The butter and the oil want to merge together. So even if the powder is clumpy and tight, the oil will slowly break it down, as if dropping salt cubes into water will naturally make Soleil until it's oversaturated.
Yeah.
But the thing with the butter is that there's a point of saturation that's much higher. So I can actually put in more powder, and it will saturate more powder than there is actual butter per gram weight. What else I do is I leave maybe like a third of the powder to put into the actual mix with the nuts. Because then that coats the nuts and prevents the coagulation of the nuts when they're in the blender together, when they're in the processor together. Once the nuts come together and become really hard, it's much harder to blend it all, and much harder to process it all. And the temperatures gets much higher in the food processor. But if you coat it with a little bit of powder and it seeps into the fats of the nuts, covers that surface area and prevents it from coagulating so quickly. So you have more space between which the oil and butter mix can, seep through.
Interesting.
Hence keeping lower temperatures in the food processor.
And keeping it more raw.
We like it raw.
Yeah, dude.
Baby, we like it raw.
You have to write a song called "We Like It Raw."
I think there is one like that.
Awesome. It was like a Motown song or something.
It's actually sung by Old Dirty Bastard.
Oh yeah?
Wu-Tang.
I thought it was a Montel Williams song from the 90s.
Yeah, baby, we like it raw. Yeah, baby, we like it raw.
It's gonna get like 1 million hits on YouTube.